How we doing? How we doing? How we doing out there, guys? This is the Green Relief Podcast, Season 1, Episode 2. We're starting something new. We're going to break it down. Last night was amazing. We're going to start from the NFL. I really thought last night was going to be a barn burner. I think it's going to be a smokeout game. I'm thinking that Brock Purdy's going to go over 300 yards. I'm thinking that George Kittle's going to use the middle of the field. Drake Greenlaw's going to be a huge effect. Guys, it was the absolute, utter, complete thought that I had. It was a defensive showcase. The game could have been a lot worse than what it was. There was probably at least 5 or 6 interceptions that could have happened that didn't happen, which was great. But again, terrible play, terrible field. It's cool. San Fran, it didn't work out for him. The year's over. Let's get them healthy. I would love to see them sign back Brock Purdy. If he wasn't the last pick, maybe he's $60 million right now. Maybe he's 50. Sam Darnold's going to get, $30 million in the offseason free agency? He's going to be out there. What do you do with Kirk Cousins? Michael Penix Jr., like I just talked about in my last podcast, definitely has to take the reins over. The Bucs are up 1 game. What are we doing? I think that Sam Darnold signs back with the Vikings. You let J.J. McCarthy cook out there. The Brock Purdy got to get signed back. Kyle Shanahan, you can't fire him. There'd be 25, 26 teams lined up to hire that guy. We know that Sean McVay's the great coach, all from the Bill Belichick tree. That's not the good option to go through. I think you rock out with him. You see what else you can go from there. Now, Sunday the 15th, you got a lot of good games going on there. You've got the miracle on the field, as they're starting to call them, the Kansas City Chiefs going against the Cleveland Browns. And we all know, I got to give them a round of applause, man. It's incredible what they're able to do, meaning this is probably one of Patrick Mahomes' worst years statistically, by far, bar none. Travis Kelce definitely isn't having the year he thought he would have. They really just started picking it up week 8 with DeAndre Hopkins. Rashee Rice still isn't there. Hollywood Brown's if and offy. Xavier Worthy, they still haven't figured out a way to really capitalize on his speed as much as they did with Tyreek Hill, because they're about the same speed out there. But they still win. I think it's going to be a blowout. They got the line at 4.5. That's a safe line to take. You got Cincinnati at Tennessee. Cincinnati's riding that hot win with the miracle win, as you can call it, in Dallas. They're going to beat Tennessee. The Will Mayo project over there is done with. They're going to be revamping. Tennessee's going to be a top 5 pick. I would love to see Tennessee go defensive this year in the draft. That's where they really got to focus their side on, and maybe get Matt Rule back out there. Get a different type of atmosphere over there in Tennessee. Now, this one's a little tricky now. You got Washington, New Orleans. New Orleans fighting for everything in the world. Washington's still trying to figure out, is this their year, or is this a stepping stone year for Jaden McDaniels? Last year, the Texans took the world by storm with C.J. Stroud. He was able to take off. He did astronomical things, and I think he kind of set the bar for these rookie quarterbacks coming in, because now if you don't have a C.J. Stroud type of year, a Pro Bowl type of year, and you have all this talent around you like he does with Austin Eckler, has Terry McLaurin, it's what you call it an upset. It's a disappointment, and it really isn't. This kid's out here leading this division. I definitely should beat the New Orleans Saints. They got the line at 7.5. That's definitely going to be a blowout. That's looking good. Then you got Baltimore and you hit the Giants. Guys, safe to say it's going to be a good game, and it's going to be blown out by the third quarter. It's going to be close in the first 2, maybe a touchdown or 2, but when it's all said and done, it's going to be a knockout. Then I probably got the most interesting game and most meaningless game on the schedule, but yet for the first time in 55 games, if you guys do the math, that's over 4 seasons, that the wonderful, wonderful Carolina Panthers are actually favored in a game. In an NFL game, the Carolina Panthers is favored to beat the Dallas Cowboys by 3. And I think it's going to happen. The Cowboys looked flabbergasted. They just looked... When the muff punt happened and they had the block punt and the offensive, which was a defensive player, tries to pick it up to get down, I don't understand his train of thought. Again, he was a rookie player, got signed from the practice squad, his first NFL game, probably his 3rd time actually touching the field. He was only special teams. He wasn't even a kickoff return or a kickoff, just punt return. And he muffs that up, kills the Cowboys season. You got the Jets, you got the Jaguars. Everybody's calling Aaron Rodgers to retire. He was just on the Pat McAfee show taking shots at the former players, a.k.a. Ryan Clark, Cam Newton. I was watching it today with Stephen A. Smith over there at ESPN on First Take from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. They do it every day, Monday through Friday. It's a great set of crew out there. And Cam Newton, he said it the best. He was like, well, we are talking about him. And what do you do as a player? You sit back and say, wait a minute. Is this fool talking about me? Is this wash up talking about me? That's just a natural thought of life, right? It's just a full circle effect, I guess. You go from wanting to be the player to being the player to now being retired and talking about the future player, the next generation, where they had it so much easier. It's just a circle of life and anything you go through. Who was better? MJ or LeBron? I don't think that Aaron Rodgers is wrong. I think that Aaron Rodgers has a great point. But to call people out right now with the season that you're having now, I think you're looking for the headlines, which he is. He's on the McAfee show every Tuesday, every Thursday. We get it. New York takes the win. They're favored by 3.5. I think it's going to be bigger than that. I definitely think so. I see him and Devontae Adams hooking up some. Then you got probably the most important game on the schedule. You got the Dolphins. You got the Texans. It's not just only important for me because, shit, I'm a huge Colts fan. You got Miami fighting for their playoff hopes. The Texans fighting for their playoff hopes. Safe to say, if Miami loses any game, they're done. They're on the Cowboys bandwagon. Their chances go, I think I was looking earlier today, it was 1.8% if they lose. They got to win out. They just cut Odell Beckham Jr. I think that's a great thing because Odell wasn't used as he should have been. Henceforth, meaning this. You can't give me one route running receiver that Tua's ever thrown 1,000 yards to. I'll even make it easier for you. You cannot give me one 750-yard a year receiver who's a route runner who's ever played with Tua. And I'm going back to Alabama days. I'm back to his high school skip. His leading receiver in high school was 688 yards in 10 games. And he was a route runner. Tua relies on speed and timing, which is great. That's why the Dolphins' offense is one of a kind. That's why they do so much things. That's why nobody replicates what the Dolphins do. It's Mike McDaniel's a great coach for him. It's a perfect fit. I don't see it working out for Odell. Odell was never the fastest. He was never the strongest. Take it back to the Giants days. He was never the most athletic. Yeah, he did athletic things, but he was never that epitome of a 6'4", 250 Megatron. He wasn't Randy Moss. He's a great route runner. He was Terrell Owens. He was Jerry Rice. He was a different type of Marvin Harrison. It's a different type of receiver. I think he leaves, and which is a great thing. I would love to see him out there in Detroit. Him and Amon St. Brown. They got Patrick over there, the speedster. Tim Patrick. It's a great look. I'd love to see him getting out of there. I think Miami beats Houston. They have Houston as a favorite by -3. I don't like it. I think they win. They're in Houston. It's in the turf. I think Tua's going to have a great game. We all know Miami's deficiencies is the cold. It's not going to be cold. It's going to be good. It's indoors. I'm taking the Dolphins. And the Dolphins by a tremendous win. I'm thinking 2014. I'm thinking by a touchdown. It's going to be a good defensive slobber knocker. But with the offense that the Dolphins have with putting Tyreek Hill in the backfield, putting Jalen Waddle, they're throwing the ball to Archean. They're giving Toaster up the middle gut runs. That's taking up time from the clock. The Dolphins in the past 3-game winning streak has averaged over 4.5 minutes per scoring possession. And off punt possessions over 5.5 minutes. That means that they're controlling this side of the football. And that's what you want. When your offense is on the field more than your defense, you typically result in wins. Let's talk about the Colts in Denver. That's a game I'm going to be locked into at 4 o'clock. I know half the world's going to be locked into because, again, huge playoff ramifications. If the Colts lose, they're done. If the Broncos lose, it's a trickle effect that happens down to where, wait a minute, can the Bucs still have a chance? Do the Cowboys win out? It's crazy. This week in the NFL is going to be one of the craziest betting weeks there is. You got Buffalo and Detroit at 425 as well. People think that Detroit's unbeatable. I may just side with them. If they get that defensive monster back on the other side, man, Hutchinson coming off that line, I don't see it. Only problem I see with the Lions is that man cover 2 bullshit they couldn't do. I never understood it in JUCO. I never understood it in the NFL. Even the Eagles do with Darius Slay. And Darius Slay Jr., big play Slay, is 32 years old. He's getting killed out there. Look at the Cowboys. Same concept of the man defense with the cover 2 safeties high. It doesn't work. There's no way in the NFL you can stop anybody on a slant route. It's impossible. especially when it's Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase. I don't like it. I definitely think Detroit's going to get killed with Amari Cooper out there, and with Shakur coming back, and you got a healthy Dalton Kincaid, and you got James Cook healthy. I think Buffalo takes it. I think that Detroit shows some humanity on their side, shows where they're soft at. Maybe it may be in the long ball, because you know Josh Allen's going to go deep. He has the longest average per throw in the NFL this year. He's going to air it out. I think that's what happens. I think it's going to be a great game. It's going to be a high-scoring game, definitely with 21 points each. They got the line at Detroit 2.5. I think Buffalo wins by a touchdown or more. Pittsburgh at Philadelphia, now that one's crazy. Who needs to win more? Neither of them. But what loss is going to mean more for that franchise? To me, honestly, I want the Steelers to lose, because what happens is when you start a new quarterback halfway through the season and everything is going right, he's making all the right plays, and every time you track up that hill, there's a slope that's going to come down. And any team will tell you is, I'll rather be cold going into those playoffs and I've already reached my peak so I can only get back up and never hit that wall. Now, is Russell Wilson going to hit the wall this year? Is George Pickens not being there going to be such a factor? I think it is. Like we just talked about in the other game. The Philadelphia Eagles play a cover 2-man defense. Without that speedster out there, it's going to be a little different for them. Without George Pickens there, they're a lot slow out there. They're crossing patterns. Najee Harris out the backfield, more screen plays, more plays for Justin Fields. It's going to be a tricky game. Philly wins that. You got New Orleans and Arizona. Safe to say, New England and Arizona. Safe to say New England season's over. Gerard Mario's probably gone. The bright spot out there is Drake May. I think he's going to put some points up. Arizona's got to learn to stop the run. They couldn't stop a fly last week. And this week right here, and best believe that New England's going to run the ball down their throat. I think Arizona gets the win. It's going to be a close game. They got them at -6 for the win. I believe it. Tampa and the Chargers. That's an iffy one right there. It has to go right for Tampa. But the thing is with the Chargers is they're just great at everything that they do. The Chargers doesn't beat themselves. You have to go and beat them. They're not going to give you that interception. They're not going to give you that lucky fumble. They're not going to give you that muff punt. That's not Jim Harbaugh's football. That's why he's there. That's why he's with Justin Herbert. That's why it's a match made in heaven. I would like to see Tampa win. I would like to see Tampa go into playoffs, give it a shot. Because Baker, man, like I told everybody, he's being drafted. He's the next Brett Favre. That kid gives you everything he has 24/7, and he's going to throw that football at you 15 miles per hour. If it's a 30-yard pass or a 5-yard pass, he's going to beat me. And that's what I like. I like a quarterback's going to put in your numbers. He's going to go out there and gunsling it. He threw an interception. Let's go to the next play. I hope they win. But the problem is they got the Chargers at -3. Look like it's going to be a close game. I'm taking the Bucks. You got the Packers against the Seahawks. That one's a little iffy. It's an 8:20 game. You got the Seahawks that's coming into town. You got Jordan Love that's won the last couple games. And you have such a great coach out there with Matt LaFleur. I mean, when Jordan Love was hurt those 3 games, you had Malik Willis come in, throw the ball 31 times, and not one pass went over the air for 10 yards. And still win the game. And you ran the ball 44. And you dominated. And you showed what you can do with any type of positional quarterback, which is Malik Willis. I love it. I think Seattle gets blown out. Green Bay has to take that win. And on Monday night, you got 2 games. You got Chicago and Minnesota. And it's going to be good. It's going to be good to see Caleb Warren Monday night, see what you can do. Minnesota's taking that, guys. Sam Darnold, Justin Jefferson, it's just... Jay Jettis, he just puts on. He puts on every single time he's in front of that camera. He's going to put on Monday night. You got Atlanta and Vegas. The line's a little different on that one. They got Atlanta at -4, which is kind of weird. It's not the traditional 3 or 7 or 6. At 4, you're thinking that's going to be some screw-ups. I think it's going to be a couple pick sixes. It's a defensive matchup. I think Atlanta turns it around. I think with Max Crosby applying that pressure, Kirk Cousins has to turn it around. And if he does not, mark my words, Kirk Cousins will not be... No, he would never take a snap again for the Falcons. It would have to be some injury-type situation to that young man, henceforth, like the Colts had with Anthony Richardson, for Kirk Cousins to go back in there. You signed him for 4 years, $130 million. You didn't get Belichick the deal. You got Raheem Morrison, their defensive-minded coach. Kirk Cousins plays play action. You don't run play action. He's got to go. I think Cousins is out of there. That's the whole point of bringing in such a quarterback like that, is to slow the game down. But you have Drake London. You have Kyle Pitts. You have Bijan Robinson. You have so many people out there on the offensive side of your defense. Matthew Judon, defensive end. Jesse Bates Jr., another Pro Bowl, like 6 interceptions this year. I don't see how you don't utilize these guys. There's something going a little fishy on in there, but it's yet for it to be revealed. Is it a coaching thing? Is it the coach giving the right plays? And Kirk Cousins at 36 years old, has he hit that plateau? Is it all downfield from here? He has 8 interceptions in the past 4 games with 0 touchdowns. It's yet to be debated. Let's see what Vegas can do, because to be honest, is Antonio Pierce going to get fired? What does the Raiders do? If they lose that game, do they fire him and go get Tom Brady's best friend, Mike Vrabel, who he played with for 12 seasons in the Patriots, the ex-Titans head coach who took the Titans to 2 AFC Championship games back-to-back, rookie season and sophomore season, yet to get fired his 4th year because Ryan Tannehill gets hurt and you have to play every other quarterback under the sun? Do you blame the quarterback? Do you blame the coach? The coach gets the hit. The coach gets fired. I think that Vegas lose. Pierce gets fired. Tom Brady does what he's supposed to, because again, Mark Davis gave Mr. Brady all the run over there. He's a minority owner, but please tell me, have you ever seen another minority owner take so much stake into a team? He's in the negotiation room when it comes to the coaches and the players. He's in there with the press conferences, and he's not just a reporter for Fox. Tom Brady's on the other side of that table. It's great. I love it. That's the Week 15 recap. That's the NFL season. That's the Canada Social. Fuck that one up. That's the Week 15 podcast of the wrap-up of the NFL season. Let's get to some of the basics of the math. Can we talk about baseball? Can we talk about Juan Soto? Did we see his press conference yesterday? It was a lot. One, for any Yankee fan out there, or any just fan of sports, period, I can talk about it for Floridian. I can tell you that if you played for the Dolphins, you don't go sign with the Buccaneers. If you played for the Niners, I mean, you don't stay with the same team in Cali. You don't do it. You're in Dallas, you don't go to Houston. Juan Soto had his choice of all 32 major league teams. He was getting $700 plus million. It was going to be 15, 13, 14 plus years. So the landscape of the deal was already set once the World Series was done. You showed that you were the best Yankees hitter on a losing team, and you're first ballot Hall of Famer at 26. You have the arm. You have everything there is. You were that player. You batted before Aaron Judge. You were the reason why Aaron Judge hit all these home runs. Now the Yankees want you back. And after losing the World Series, if everybody remembers, he didn't do the post-game press conference. He left. Juan Soto, then agent Scott Boras, issues a statement hours after the World Series win by the Dodgers. Juan Soto is elected to enter free agency, which he could have, because at 12 a.m. that night, at the end of the season, players are able to enter. You were the first one to enter free agency. Yankees, what were we thinking? You knew the guy was gone. The scope of the deal was there. He goes in and says he hasn't spoken to any of his teammates since left the World Series, and he laughs about it. If I was a Yankees pitcher, man, my first pitch would go right at his hip. I don't know what else to do. That's like the ultimate slap in the face. It's a battle in New York. I love it. I think baseball's back. I think it's great how they sped the game up. They gave 5 seconds for pitchers to get the ball out. Batters can't stop pitches after 3 seconds of being in the batter's box. I love what they're doing. I get the concept of it. I don't understand the Juan Soto effect. I think going to the Mets, it definitely levels out the playing field a little bit in the National League. I think if he would have went to the Dodgers, that would have been a safer bet. You would have counted him and Ohtani. It would have been the next 4 or 5 championships easy for them. He goes to the Mets. It's going to be good. He's there for 15 years, $765 million, all guaranteed money. Works out to about $51 million a year. And it's crazy. People say that's overpaid. It's not. If you go by what a player's worth, ESPN has this app that you can download, and you type in a player's stats, and it tells you what their worth would be. His worth last year was $65 million. It's a steal if he continues his projections. That $65 million he's projected to player to be at, you sign him for $51 million. That $14 million, you could pick up 2 relief pitchers, heck, even a starting pitcher out here in the Major League Baseball, a top 3 pitcher. It's a great signing. I wish he would stay with the Yankees. Baseball has a long offseason to go. Can we talk about the GOAT's son for a minute? Can we give him a round of applause? Incredible. What a way to show people that you're LeBron James' son. What a way to never speak about the doubters, never say what the naysayers are saying. Take it as fuel and work on your game. Young man, I love it. You went in there, scored a team-high 30 points on 57% shooting. You had 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and the block that you had was amazing. You're catching alley-oops, you're doing so many different things for them. You're in timeouts, you're speaking loud, when I saw the highlights of it, I was like, wow, that's really a kid out there. That's really LeBron James' son at 21 years old, really doing it. I loved it. I think that's just growing his confidence. I think a couple more games. I don't need 30 from you. I want to be clear. I don't need 30 from you. If you become that type of scorer, then you're going to be the next Jordan Poole who can play defense, next Kyle Kuzma. You're going to be those players that elevated that game so much to where now you're Malik Beasley. I think he can really become one of those type of players. He's a little small, 6'2", a little light, 205, 215, but he's getting there. He's going into it. He's stepping into his jump shots. I love what he's doing. I absolutely enjoy seeing LeBron James' son take the helm, and he doesn't ever look to like the game is too big for him. That's a big thing when you see a lot of people play the game of basketball or any type of sport. It's when they step into that light first couple games, and then you see him kind of starstruck. The kid doesn't look like that. He sits at the game, he looks at it, he doesn't rush it. I don't see crazy turnovers. I love what Bronny's doing out there. Hats off again. 30 points in the win. I got kids. I got 5 of them. I got 4 teenagers. I got 1 preteen total. It's different when you read stuff, right? You go on Yahoo, I go on MSN, and I'm reading that Florida's social media bans, Myers, take effect January 1st. I'm like, wait a minute. So you're telling me that my kids can no longer go on social media? Is that Instagram? Is that Facebook? Is it Twitter? What is it exactly, and why? How are we going to do this? Because the kids are just going to say that when they create an account, my birthday, instead of being 2000, was 1990. The kids know how to go about doing it, but when you break down the law, you break down the doing it restricts access to social media websites by minors and adults who have to verify their ages in order to access lawful information. Okay, so are you making us scan our driver's license? Now, you're telling me because I'm over the age of 18, I'm not a teenager, I have to give you my personal information, where I live, my driver's license information. What are we doing here? How are we going to go ahead and verify that I'm an adult and they're a child? Because it can't just be the process we have now, 2-step authentication, text your phone number. The kid has the phone. Are you going to look at their age and then you're going to ban them from there? I don't see how they even do that. How could you even take that away? And how would the internet work? Is it going to be a cell phone thing? Is it going to be all the towers just directly in Florida? Are they going to contact every internet provider from T-Mobile to Spectrum to Verizon? Yeah, let that sink in for a minute, because I had an epiphany when that happened. I was like, wow. I want to see it. If you break it down, it says the law prevents children under the age of 16 from open social media accounts on some platforms, focusing on criteria related to such things as algorithms and addictive features. Parents can allow 14 and 15-year-olds to have accounts. Okay, so let's play it. I actually got a 15-year-old and I actually got a 16-year-old. So my 16-year-old can go on there and have no problem, but if my 15-year-old posts a clip and hashtags Fortnite, or having fun, or hashtag gaming, I guess having fun's not an addictive feature, but Fortnite will be, or hashtag gaming, that's an addictive feature. It'll be blocked. So they're going to be shadow banned. Tech companies have their neck cut out for them to be able to even process this, and when you look into it, as the only defense that we have as Floridians is that a hearing is scheduled for February 28th in federal court. But when I look at that and I look back at the law takes effect January 1st, so that means that the law is going to be in effect for 2 years. For 2 months. Because if they see him on the 28th, because we know this year's on the 29th of February, what's going to happen? Are they then going to let the kids go back on, or are the kids done for those 2 months? I hope they send an email. I hope they send out some kind of information, and then they don't break down what platforms. Are you going to be able to only use Meta products? Meta services, meaning i.e. Facebook, i.e. Instagram? Or are you going to be able to use Twitter and just use the X features and not be able to use those, or vice versa, or is it all three? Are they going to go to another app? Is everybody going to start doing what they used to do back in the day, like BBM, BlackBerry Messengers? Anybody remember that? Or am I too old right now? What is it going to go to? The social media chat rooms? How else are these kids going to get their thoughts out, their feelings? These children make thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars to millions of dollars off social media, off of gaming. What happens then to their families? You've got a mom and dad that for the past 5, 6 years, 7 years have been building their kid up from 6 years old, and now they're making $100,000 a month, and now you take it away? I got a daughter who's 3 years old. She's watching this show on YouTube. There's millions of followers. It's his father and his 2 daughters, and the wife's there, and you look at the father's car. The Escalade he has, the Platinum, is $150,000. The house is $2-3 million. They're living off the daughter. Do you take their livelihood away? Or do you have it to where the kids still record and they switch a platform to the adult's platform? How do we do that? I don't know, man. The question's out there. I appreciate it. That's all the time I have today. I appreciate us getting back out here. This is a Greenleaf podcast. This is episode 2 of season 1. We broke down some things today. We talked football. We talked a little bit about baseball. We talked about basketball and Bronny James. We broke through some social media bans. And as we go, the topics won't be the same. It always won't be sports related. I definitely want to get into more cannabis related products. My next show, I'm actually going to showcase, it's a Rolling Loud product. The Flowers dispensary out here in the state of Florida. They have a couple of them out here in Miami. They got one in Ocala, West Palm Beach. They deliver all throughout the state of Florida. Right now, till New Year's, they're actually free delivery. So if you wanted an eighth, you can place an eighth one. It's theflowery.co, not .com. Put your medical card information in, put your date of birth. If you don't have your medical card information, you can always contact Green Relief at 407-572-8643. You can visit their website at www.agreenrelief, that's A as in apple, green as the color, Green, relief, RELIEF.com. Office is open 7 days a week. We can take care of you, get you your card, get active. The state of Florida, our doctors, we get you up to 5 ounces of cannabis every 35 days. The state of Florida law offers you 2.5. A lot of us, I've actually posted one earlier of our first podcast on my Facebook and my Instagram. I had 7 different people, it was about an hour ago, message into me to ask me about how much can you carry, can you still have the gun? So I realized that we did so many podcasts before, but this is a new platform, so I need to retouch all those bases. So our next podcast, episode 3, is going to break down the cannabis law. I'm going to talk about cannabis products. We'll talk about the Rolling Loud paper. We'll talk about the 7 grams. Would you pay $100 for a 7-gram blunt? That's the major question. Are you going to pay $50 for a 3.5? I want to know. I want to ask these questions. I want you guys to answer it and let me know. Is the flowery too much and too expensive for our taste? Or is this the way the Florida market's going to go? Because of course you go to Truly, you can pick up a $15 eighth. You go to Sunburn, get $10 eighth. There's days with Sunburn you can go buy 1 pre-roll and get an eighth for free. Or go get an edible and get another edible for free. You buy something in that store and you get something for free. One THC product, one non-tobacco product, as I should say. Because in the state of Florida, another question that came in there earlier, that's why I ran through my mind, was that can we sell tobacco-related products in Florida? You can't even sell tobacco-related products in California that has cannabis into it. So there's a lot of questions out there that we have. I'm going to touch bases into it. I appreciate you guys. I love doing this. I'm happy that we gave us back a chance to get back. It's episode 2, guys. Thank you.